Guys, if you're thinking about moving to Denver, Colorado, here's what most relocation videos will never actually say. Almost everyone I've worked with over the last 11 years who's relocating to Denver end up somewhere completely different than where they thought they would. Not because Denver let them down, but because once you're actually living here, what matters to you changes. And that gap between where you picture yourself and where you actually end up, that's what this whole video is about. Here's the thing I tell people before they move, and it almost always lands differently once they've actually lived here for a year. Almost every person that has relocated to Denver, Colorado that I talk to ends up somewhere different than where they originally planned. And the reason is never the same. Some of them grew, started a family, needed a yard, stopped caring about walkability and being close to Avanti or all the restaurants in Highlands. Some of them found their people, and their people happened to be in Arvada, Louisville, or Broomfield. I had one client who moved here and swore she would rent near downtown and buy there eventually. Ended up in Lakewood because that's where her whole community landed. And it made more sense for her life. Here's the other one I see all the time. People rent first, realize their space doesn't work anymore. And by the time they're ready to buy, they're looking at a completely different part of the map than where they started. That's the whole reason we do this work, guys. Get people to the right spot from the very beginning so that they're not doing this twice. This city unfolds in stages. So let's talk about where it usually starts for most of our people relocating here to Denver, Colorado. Here's what I hear on almost every first call from someone actually relocating here. They call me and say, look, I want to be walkable. I want that active lifestyle where I can loop around Wash Park or be close to the mountains where I can catch a hiking trail within 10 minutes. And guys, that's not wrong. Denver actually delivers that. The trails, the parks, the access, the outdoor culture, all of that, guys, is very, very real. But here's what I figured out after doing this for 11 years. When people say they want the Denver lifestyle, what they're actually after is community. They want a morning routine, a coffee spot where they become the regular, friends within a reasonable drive, a neighborhood with a pulse. And Denver gives you that, but it gives it to you in different pockets and not just the urban core. That's the piece nobody explains before you move. And guys, that's why we do these videos and encourage you guys to reach out. We're your local Denver real estate team of choice, and we want to serve you. We want to help you find the right spot from day one. Our information is on the screen. Call, text, or email us. Guys, we're gonna make this as smooth and as easy a process for you. If you're moving here in your 20s or 30s, you almost always start near the core. We're talking Lodo, RiNo, Cap Hill, Uptown, the Golden Triangle. Most of those folks rent first, they test the city, and honestly, that's the right move. Denver has a lot of versions of itself, and you want to find out which one fits you before you're locked into a mortgage and zip code. Here's what I think is actually drawing people to the urban core that first year. And it's not what most videos say. It's not about the skylines or being walkable to brunch. It's about community. That's the real pull, and the core delivers it, at least for a while. But here's what I see around month 12 to 18. The searches start spreading out. Central Park, Arvada, Littleton, Highlands Ranch. That condo lease is coming up, and the HOA starts competing with the idea of a real yard and extra bedrooms. And many of my people, many of them, ended up buying in the exact locations they swore they would never buy when they first moved here. Year one, guys, is connection. Year two is alignment. So let's talk about where people actually buy after they felt the city out and figured out their rhythm. Guys, nobody moves to Denver with a dream about C470 and HOA newsletters, but they land there after actually living here. And when I talk to people who made that move from the urban core out to the suburbs, the majority of them are genuinely happy they did. Not because the core disappointed them, but because their life changed. Now here's something a lot of these videos get wrong. They only talk about the South Metro. And look, South is great. Littleton, Highlands Ranch, Parker, Castle Rock, when the square footage argument wins, these are legitimate areas. But some of my favorite neighborhoods, guys, in the whole Metro are North. Guys, we're talking Old Town Arvada. You get a genuine downtown feel, walkable, great community without the price tag of Cherry Creek or LoHi. And then you go further north. I'm talking Broomfield, Westminster, Louisville, Superior, even Erie. Guys, these communities give you closer mountain access, strong schools, and you're not locked into South Metro traffic patterns. Now here's the thing I always come back to. Corridor matters more than zip code. Where you sit relative to where you work shapes your actual daily life more than the neighborhood vibe ever will. Now let's get into the 6 to 12 month reality check. Closing day is great. Month 3, you're still riding the high, but somewhere between 6 to 8 to 12 months, it stops being the move you made and starts being your actual daily life. And guys, that's when fit gets tested for real. The person in the urban core starts doing the real math, what the HOA costs, what the parking costs, what the trade-offs actually are. The views are still great, and they always will be, but the lifestyle cost starts to feel a little differently. The family who went far south for the yard hits commute reality. Not the median on paper, but the actual commute on a Tuesday when something goes wrong on I-25 and your whole morning goes with it. That's a different conversation. Guys, here's the line I hear more than anyone else from people who have been here a year. We love Colorado, we just wish we'd picked a different pocket. They didn't regret the move, they regretted the location. And the good thing is that's a completely fixable problem if you have the right conversation before you sign anything. And guys, that's exactly what we do. So if you're planning your move and want to build a real plan, reach out, guys. We've got you covered. We're in your corner. We got your back, and we do this all day, every day. So that call before you move is the one that saves you from making this decision twice. Let's talk about the market a little bit so you know what you're getting into. And I'm not gonna bury you in the market data, but there are two things that actually affect where you end up. First, purchasing power. Rates changed the math from where it was a few years ago. What your budget could get you in 2021 versus what it does now is a completely different conversation. And it matters when you're deciding between a condo in the core or a house with a yard 20 minutes out. That's worth understanding before you guys start touring. And second up, guys, is gonna be inventory. The inventory in the right corridors is still tighter than most people expect, especially established suburban neighborhoods and west side detached homes. The market isn't chaos, but it's not a buyer's paradise either, especially in the spots where everyone wants to be. Because Denver is more specific now than it was years ago, which, believe it or not, actually makes it easier to navigate if you have the right expertise and you know exactly what version of Denver, Colorado you're actually buying into. So let's talk about versions of Denver. Urban core, and then you got the suburban core. At some point, it stops being about price and starts being about what does your Tuesday actually feel like? Like, how do you live life? Because it's one thing to pick a house, it's another to pick a lifestyle. And guys, with you thinking about relocating, that distinct difference can make or break your move. So let's start urban first. Your commute might be 10 minutes. You walk to Huckleberry Coffee Shop or down to Avanti to have lunch with friends. Your social life shows up without effort. What you give up is space. Guys, you give up quiet, not to mention the cost per square foot. And if you're anything like the median age in Denver, which is right around that 30 to 45 years old, that trade-off might be worth it for a few years. But then your sights are gonna shift to the suburban areas. Garage doors up at 7 a.m., school drop-offs, your neighborhood has a rhythm. And if you get your corridor right, C470 instead of I-25 downtown, or reverse commute east, or heck, maybe you're heading to Boulder. The commute isn't the nightmare people imagine. It's different. And once you figure out your route, daily life gets a lot more predictable. Now here's the honest question you gotta ask yourself. Would you trade 15 minutes on the road for 600 more square feet in the backyard? Your answer to that tells you more about which Denver fits you than any neighborhood map. So how do we predict where you'll actually land? Well, most people, they think they'll choose their neighborhood based on what excites them. But what actually drives the decision, guys, is friction. So we always encourage our people relocating to Denver to start with your work corridor, not your zip code preference. That one variable shapes your week more than anything else. DTC, Boulder, DIA, Interlochen, those pull you to completely different parts of the metro. So get that right first, and then we can focus on that dream house you've always wanted. And go test it, guys. Drive the commute you'd actually have. Not a Saturday afternoon, a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Walk around the neighborhood for 20 minutes and pay attention to how you feel. Whether it feels like home, whether it feels like the community you've always wanted to have. Because nothing beats being in person and actually filling the space. And those reaction, guys, will tell you something real. See, Denver operates as a polycentric city now. There's not one hub. Employment is spread across nodes, which means the old logic of live near downtown or suffer genuinely doesn't apply anymore. So the neighborhood you actually end up in usually isn't the one that excited you most when you first landed. It's the one that makes your week feel non-resistant. Now guys, we're getting close to the end here, but stay tuned because I have something coming for you at the end. Look, most people don't move to the wrong Denver. They move to the right Denver at the wrong stage. And then they spend the next year fixing it. The difference between landing right the first time and spending a year fixing it almost always comes down to just having the right information before you move. The people who take that time, they end up more excited about where they land, not less. Guys, we're the local Denver real estate team of choice. If you're serious about making this move, reach out, call, text, or email. Our info is in the description. And guys, as I promised, you've got some videos on your screen where you can dive in and learn more about your move to Denver or do some deep dives into some different areas to see if they feel like the right fit for your lifestyle. Guys, thank thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.